Good morning, everybody, and my name's Tom Soane, and welcome to another episode of The Anonymous Landlord. And today I'm going to talk to you about what I think is going to happen to the property market over the next 12 months. Because it's November 2020 right now, so we've just gone into lockdown 2, the sequel, and there's loads of fear going around right now about what's going to happen to property prices, what's going to happen in the mortgage market, what's going to happen to people being able to get mortgages, but also about demand and will people be buying and selling? Should I sell now or should I wait and see what happens in the future? Are people going to be able to buy property? So that's a big question as well. Should I sell now or should I buy now or should I wait until everything settles down? A price is going to go up or a price is going to go down. What do I do? It's a scary, scary world right now. So I'm just going to give you my opinions on what I think is going to happen over the next 12 months, certainly around to the end of 2021, to hopefully give you an idea of what you can and cannot do or should not do. And we're going to have a look at property prices over the next 12 months. We're going to have a look at mortgages right now and also mortgages for the rest of the next year. And also about property investing. What's going to happen with property investors? What could you invest in? What should you avoid? Things like that. But I think the first thing to tackle is obviously the big one, and it's property prices. What's going to happen with the property prices around your area over the next 12 months? Well, the first thing I want to say is don't panic. Prices are not going to go out of control. Now, I'm definitely putting my neck on the line there, that's for sure. And I hope I'm not wrong. I hope I'm right with that, because obviously nobody wants prices to just go mental and out of control, because that puts a lot of people at risk. Now, the Bank of England have said that the worst case scenario, the headline, the worst case scenario is that property prices might, and they use the word might, drop by 15 to 20%. Might. Now, remember, that's worst case scenario, but there is still a shortage of properties available to buy in this country. There's a shortage of homes across the whole country. So property prices can't just drop like that because there's such high demand. Like if you go back to the late 80s, for an example, when the average house price was something like 150 grand and it dropped down to 100, 110 grand, whatever it was. It dropped by a considerable amount, 25% or whatever it was. It dropped quite a lot. But then it bounced back up to 250 something in early 2000s. And that's like 250% increase. Then there was a crash in 2008, which probably seemed a lot worse than it actually was. But prices went from about 250 down to about 210, something like that. That's a 16% drop. But then they shot straight back up again. So we have to remember that the property price drops that we've seen historically are across the whole country. And some areas are going to be worse than others. Like, for an example, in the South, properties in the South tend to hold on to their prices better than properties in the North. And hang on a second, my wife is just calling me. Sorry, darling, I'll call you back. Anyway, yes, so properties in the South tend to hold on to their values, whereas properties in the North can be a bit more volatile. And London, for an example, there's a lot more foreign investment in London, which means that prices will go up and down whenever there's a UK crisis, because less people then see their money as safe in this country. People invest in London. They're investing in a country when they're foreign investors. Now, by the way, I do loads of updates and insights and spot opportunities, and I share all of those opportunities quite a lot. So if you just hit notify me, there's a little button below that says notify me when Tom goes live, and I'll share all of those with you for free. But why do I not think prices are going to rocket down or drop or whatever the buzz term is we're using at the moment? Well, first of all, we've been in crisis before, but we've never been in this crisis before. But we've also never had the same government support in a crisis than we've got right now. Now, look, obviously, we can use hindsight and say that the government should have done this better, should have done that better, whatever. Fine, we can have that argument another time. But there's never been so much input from the government to keep the housing market going, to keep businesses operating and open, welfare, employment, economy, all of those things. There's never been that same level of push from the government to make sure that we are all still operational as a country. But like I say, yeah, all right, they could have done a lot of things differently and a lot of things better. Like I say, there's loads of arguments about certain scenarios and certain situations where people have could have done better. But hey, why golf, by the way, Boris? Why have you stopped us playing golf? That's just not fair. Surely, of all the sports, that's the sport that should be allowed. Anyway, don't get me started on that. So, all in all, prices over the next 12 months aren't going to drop dramatically. In my opinion, they're not going to drop dramatically. And I've got loads of reasons why, but the problem is that the media wants you to think that. So whatever headline you read that says we're going to have a property price drop of 20%, 30%, 40%, that's just trying to get your click. Because all of the different media channels, and by the way, this isn't a rant about media, but all of those media channels that give you that headline that makes you think that prices are going to tumble like mad and you should be very scared, they want you to click that link. They want you to buy the paper. They want you to listen to that radio show or the podcast or watch that YouTube video, just like I do. You know, I do these videos because I want people to see them. But anyway, remember that all of those media outlets that write that headline, they have an objective, they have a target to hit. And their target is their own. They only want you to consume what they're writing so that they can charge advertisers more. That's why they do it. So when you read that headline about property prices dropping, read the article, look for the evidence, and make your own mind up. But in a minute, I'm going to tell you about the mortgage market and also about investing, because that's something that's going to, hopefully there's a few bits of advice in there as well about whether you should invest now, whether you should wait, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. But really do listen to the people that are in the property market, that know the property market. Maybe not me, maybe somebody else. Maybe it's Ryan Luke or Rob Moore or Mark Homer or David Siegler or anybody who knows the mortgage market and the property market. Listen to them and see what they think. Investors, if you speak to an investor, they'll know. But anyway, what I see from an investing perspective is that I'm still getting lots of property investment opportunities, which means there are lots of properties selling and there's also a demand. I'm seeing prices going quite high. I'm being offered loads of really good buy-to-let property investment opportunities. Now, look, by the way, if you're looking for a property investment, if you're looking for a buy-to-let investment, give me a shout, drop me a comment below or a message through Facebook and I'll happily link you up. I own a property broker who brokers properties between buyers and sellers. You can book in a discovery call with me and we'll see whether we can work together or not. But anyway, the mortgage market, that's the next thing I want to talk about. Now, mortgage lenders are getting really tight on their lending and there are less lenders willing to lend right now. There are a lot of mortgage lenders that are requiring larger deposits. And in some cases, even investors are needing more than 25% as a deposit right now. There's loads of residential buyers. Now, residential buyers meaning someone who's just going to buy a property and live in it. But they're needing more than 10% at the moment. And you know what? Back in late 2000 and something like 6 or whatever, you could get 125% mortgages. Now we're struggling to get 90% mortgages. Crazy. But you know what? There's that's the way the market is right now. So there are a lot of lenders who are tightening up their lending criteria, and it's harder to get a mortgage through to completion. Because I notice as well that surveyors are being more cautious with their valuations. They're also being the lenders themselves are being more cautious with criteria and their requirements for lending you a mortgage. They're asking for much more information than they've ever asked before. And I've been doing this for a long, long time, 20 odd years. And I've never experienced this level of lenders asking for information from buyers and doing due diligence. And I get it. I do feel sorry for them, actually, because they're taking an unknown risk. They're lending you money without knowing what's going to happen in the future. So they're only trying to protect themselves. But I tell you what, and hey, we should all band together in this, because I feel sorry for mortgage advisors in all of this, because it takes so much work and time to process a mortgage from start to finish. Think about it. You've got a mortgage advisor starts off by doing his own business. He's got to buy, he's got to invest in marketing and everything. And then he does an intro call. And then he goes and meets with you to do a fact find, which normally is a good couple of hours of work. And then they process an application, which is another good few hours of work. And then they've got to take that application all the way through to get the mortgage offer. And then when they get the mortgage offer, they've got to see it all the way through to completion. And along that way, they've got to look after you as a customer, the estate agents, the lenders, the surveyors, everyone. So the mortgage advisors are getting battered at the moment. So look, if you're looking to buy a property, do your mortgage advisor a favor. They are finding it difficult to do their job. Oh, and also a lot of mortgage advisors don't get paid until the job is done. So if those sales aren't getting through, then those mortgage advisors are losing out. So let's help out our local mortgage advisors. Hey, drop a comment below if you're a mortgage advisor, or tag your mortgage advisor as well, and we'll give them some support. We can work together on this. By the way, who's trying to get a mortgage right now? Who's actually going through that mortgage process and finding a few more difficulties than you would have normally expected? Let me know. Comment below. So anyway, I do feel sorry for the mortgage advisors, so we should support them. But the government are trying to help. There is stamp duty relief, but I don't think that's solving the lenders' problem, which is why they're staying tight asses. In that they're, yes, that helps the buyer be able to afford more of a deposit, but it doesn't help the lenders with the actual mortgage down the line. There is still this uncertainty in the marketplace. And I've interviewed a couple of mortgage experts, actually, like long time, seriously knowledge wealthy experts in mortgages on my podcast. I won't go through all that now, but have a listen to the podcast and have a listen to the mortgage guys. They give a real detailed view of the mortgage market right now. But look, the lenders are just protecting themselves. That's fine. Remortgages are more expensive at the moment. Buy-to-let mortgages are more expensive. Bridging loans are really expensive at the moment. So do you wait? Do you buy now, or do you hang on? But what are you going to wait for? Are you going to hope that the mortgage rates are going to come down? How long do you wait? Who knows? I just think, look, if you're looking to buy a property and live in it, go and find your next home, buy it and live in it, because you're not going to buy it today and move out tomorrow. You're going to buy it and you're probably going to live in it for 20 years. If you're going to invest in a property, you're going to buy it. You're probably going to keep it for a load of years. So look at history. Evidence will tell us that we bounce back, and any drops that there might be in property prices, values, or any more expensive mortgages right now will balance out over time. It has to, because that's what a large part of our economy and our country is built on. But remember, if you're investing with a mortgage, then the only thing that changes is your offer. So if you are going to buy a property, but your mortgage offer is a bit more expensive than you thought, then your offer is just a little bit lower to make sure you're still getting the right property. But do speak to an independent mortgage advisor right now more than any other time, because tell you what, if you only speak to your bank will only offer you their products. If you speak to an independent mortgage advisor, the independent mortgage advisor will tell you all of the products that are available to you. But also, they're normally able to advise you upfront and ahead of time which lenders will probably lend to you and what their criteria is. They'll also probably find cheaper deals than you can get yourself. If you don't have a mortgage advisor, let me know, comment below, or drop me a message. I'll just connect you with mine just to try and help out. Now, property investing. Look, property investing is going a bit crazy. Investors are going crazy, and properties at the moment are going for crazy money. On auctions, I'm seeing auction properties just going mental prices that I thought, no, it's not worth that. Come on. Properties on the market going for silly money. Properties off market going for silly money. I'm seeing more gazumping now than I've seen for years. People just coming in with silly offers. But if you're a property investor, then just be patient, because these silly offers are not getting through to completion. But it's really easy. And it's an old trick. It's a dirty trick where people go in and offer a silly amount of money, get it all the way through to the end, and then drop their price because the seller is desperate. It's an old trick and it's horrible. Shouldn't be done. There's going to be regulation around this, I promise you, soon. But anyway, these properties aren't going through to completion, but you've got to stick to your price. You've got to stick to your own calculations, right? And there are opportunities, definitely, because think about it, what I just said, people that get all the way down the line and then that property sale doesn't go through because it's just too high a price and the surveyors are being really tight, then that might present an opportunity to you, Mr. and Mrs. Investor. So if the question is, do you invest now or do you wait? Invest now. And I'll tell you what, just remember the rule. The only thing that changes is your offer, and stick to that. And don't get sucked into the drama of gazumping and bidding wars and all of that sort of stuff. It's better to invest now and make some money than invest in your savings account and not make any money. Because look, let's also face it, we're not getting much interest in our savings account, right? Surely you'd rather make a little bit less profit through property than not do anything at all. Get your money working for you. And I'm still, like I said earlier on, I'm still being offered loads of really good buy-to-let properties. You've just got to be smart with the way you calculate that offer and the way you invest your money. Just be smart with that and keep being smart with it. Don't get sucked into the drama. And you know what? If you do want a buy-to-let property, just send me a message and I'll talk to you about properties that I'm currently brokering. I'm not taking on any more mentorship clients at the moment. I do have a few mentor clients, but I'm not taking on any more. So I'm happy to just talk to you. If I think I can find some properties for you, then I will. And we'll just do it like that. But you've got to book a discovery call first. So send me a message if you want to book a discovery call, and we'll see if what I'm doing can help you and if we can work together. Anyway, there's always a property market for property investors. There's always a relative market for residential movers, just people that are moving from a house to another, because it's always going to be relative for you. Your property price might drop, but the property that you're buying, that price is going to drop too. And it's all going to be relative. But over time, once you've moved into that property and you've been there for 20 years, are you really going to be thinking about, do you know what? I bought this for 10 grand more than I should have done 20 years ago. It's not going to bother you. I promise you that. You won't even remember it. Back then, you won't even think, oh yeah, I bought it at that time and I should have bought it for 10 grand less. You won't even realize. And do you know what, like I say, investor or just a standard residential buyer, there is always a market for you. The only thing that changes is your offer. I just completed on 2 properties in Newcastle. I went up and picked up the keys on the weekend and I'm really happy with them. I've got another one that's just about to go to exchange. I've got 4 that I'm buying in Wales that are currently going through legals. I've just offered on 1 in Portsmouth. So I am active. There is an active property investment market. There's also a really active residential market. My estate agent is absolutely flying. They're selling properties like never before. And it's crazy because you would expect this to be a real crappy market. But actually, it's a real buoyant market. But my estate agent is buzzing. My letting agent, we're bringing on more rental properties and managing more properties than ever before. They're flying in left, right, and center. We're just getting more and more and more and more new customers because people are investing in buy-to-let properties. People are moving out of properties and keeping hold of rental properties as an investment. We're getting landlords because of all the legislation. Landlords are starting to really need a letting agent to manage all of the levels of legislation and compliance and rules and processes and systems that they have to follow now. There's something like 178 different pieces of legislation just for landlords. It's crazy nowadays. But what that tells me is, first of all, property is moving. Whether you're renting or buying, selling or letting, property is moving. So you, as the buyer or seller, if your question is, should I wait until things settle down? Things don't ever settle down. It's like when you want to, I don't know, give up smoking and you say, I'll give up smoking when things settle down a bit. Things never settle down. In your lives, have things ever settled down? No, they never do, because it's just the way life is. There's just one thing and then the next thing and then the next thing and then the next thing. So there isn't ever a perfect time to invest in property. There isn't ever a perfect time to move. The only time to move properties is when you want to move. Maybe you've had another child. Maybe you want extra parking. Maybe you want an extra bedroom, a bigger room, a different location, different school, bigger garden. If that's what you want, focus on that and go and move into your dream home. If you're a property investor, things won't settle down. They just change, and you have to adapt to that. And remember, the only thing that changes is your offer, and that's it. So, look, I talked through, you've still got to do all this due diligence, right? And I've just talked through those properties that I've just completed on and I'm still buying and I've offered on. And you still have to do the right due diligence. If you're investing in properties, you have to do the due diligence. And you know what? Actually, I'll talk through each one of those properties on my podcast, how I found them, what due diligence I did, the refurbishment, the plan, the targets, the profit that I'm going to make on each one. I'll talk through all of those on the Anonymous Landlord podcast. I might share a video of the properties on this. Actually, Tony Fairs has just shared 2 videos of the 2 properties that I've just bought and just completed on. So check out Tony Fairs. And Tony, if you're listening to this, or if you do listen to this, do us a favor and tag yourself in this so that people can have a look. Anyway, so that's about it. So everyone keeps telling me they like it when I do a little summary at the end, but what's going to happen to the property market in the next 12 months during and after lockdown 2, the sequel? Look, don't panic, everyone. Please don't panic. Do you sell now? Do you buy now? Or do you wait? I say go for it now. Whatever it is you want to do, go for it right now, because the property prices, and I'm sticking my neck out on the line here, or neck on the block, whatever the terminology is. My general opinion is that property prices aren't going to go mental. We're not going to drop by anything more than about 10% maximum, I think. So let's keep my fingers crossed that I'm right about that. And I'd love it if we didn't even drop, because right now we're not going to drop. There's enough demand in the country because we have a shortage of homes in this country. So therefore, I don't think prices can drop. I just can't see how they can. So, hey, Mo, thanks for tagging whoever you're tagging there. Nice one. Give us a wave, by the way. Do you know what I love? When everybody presses like buttons on this and it all just starts flashing up on my screen. So thanks for everyone for joining me for this. Thanks to everybody who's going to listen to this and watch this in the future. But don't panic about property prices. I don't think they're going down. They're certainly not going down by any dramatic amount anyway. Mortgages are tighter, so you will need to prepare more information. Speak to an independent mortgage advisor. Don't go to your bank. Definitely. Surveys, valuations are tighter than ever. So if you're going to buy a property, whether you're moving into it or going to invest in it, then surveyor valuations are tighter than ever. So make sure you've done your 3 valuations correctly. I won't go through them now, but I did my podcast, which was 3 ways to value your property. The podcast is The Anonymous Landlord. If you remember it, go and check it out. 3 ways to value your property. Get that right. And you'll get the property through to completion. And lastly, for investing, do you wait? Do you invest now? I say invest now. I say go for it now. And like I say, I'd love to help more and more people with that. I I'm not taking on any mentorship clients right now. But when I do take on more mentorship clients, I'll share it on here. If anybody needs some mentoring or coaching in property investment, then maybe we could talk about that. I'm not taking on any more right now, though. So look, I'm happy to answer messages and emails and questions and things like that. But hey, I'll leave it like that, shall I? If you've got any questions, do send me a message. I do reply to every single Facebook message I get. Sometimes it takes me a while because I get tons, loads every single day. And I love it. I love talking to people. And my whole philosophy on all of this is, yes, I've got a lettings agency. Yes, I've got an estate agency. Yes, I've got a property broker. Yes, I do property investor coaching and mentoring. But if you're not going to be my customer, then I just want to make sure you get it right. And I promise you that. This stuff will always be free, and I'll be very honest with you. But remember the rules. You've got to remember the rules. You've got to be the best version of yourself at this. At things like investing in property. When do you invest in property? How should you invest in property? What's the mortgage market doing? What are property prices doing? And this whole thing right here goes towards being the best version of yourself at one more thing. And remember, if you want to be the best version of yourself at one thing, then you've got to be the best version of yourself at everything. And my name's Tom Soane, and just for the purposes of my podcast, because I'm probably going to share this on there too, this is the Anonymous Landlord.